Hi friends, welcome back to Common the Chaos Homeschool. Okay, so today is going to be sort of an update video, sort of a chatty update video on how our summer has gone, a bit of what we've done this summer, as well as how I'm preparing for the new school year, which is coming up in 2 days now. So I just wanted to catch you up on where we're at as far as homeschool planning, getting ready for the new school year, and what we've been up to. So I'm going to try to make this video not too much editing, so I hope that doesn't bother some of you, but I don't have a lot of extra time to edit videos right now, and I do want to get this video up to you as soon as I can. Just because I'm sure some of you have already started your school year, and some of you are getting really close to starting your school year, so I just want to try to keep up with you guys as much as possible. So I'm going to start with what we did this summer, how all that has gone. So let's see. First part of the summer, we took off 1 week because my husband's mom and dad came to visit. They took a train ride across, like from Calgary to BC in Canada, and sort of a train bus tour. And so they came down to visit us at the end of that. So they got to hang out with us for maybe six days. And that was lots of fun. We got to go, they rented sort of a hotel or resort room, like a suite nearby, and there was a pool, so we did that a bit and just did some things in the area. So that was a lot of fun to kick off our summer. Then we did our 4th of July here in town. We have a pretty fun 4th of July in our small town, so my kids look forward to that every year, so we did that. Then we had a few weeks where we just sort of were at home, so that's when we did the bulk of our summer school, which generally included reading, doing a bit of reading. I think I had like 2 language arts items for each of my kids, as well as a very short math lesson. So like half of a math lesson that they would normally do. And I asked them to do about 16 of those days throughout the summer just to keep those things fresh. So most of that stuff was done before we headed off on our 2 big trips of the summer. So some of my kids had maybe 3 or 4 of those days left. Actually, we only did 12 days. So like it was basically 3 4-week days that I had planned to spread out through the summer for just summer school to keep my kids fresh on some of the things like spelling and math, and just making sure that they continue to read and not get bored with, having nothing to do. And so we gave them something to do and just helped them keep up on things. So some of my kids had a few days left when we went to North Carolina. So that was our first big trip. We went to North Carolina for 2 weeks. My mother and father-in-law lived there, so we saw them again. My husband's sister and his brother lived there, and his brother and wife and kids. And so we had cousins, and yeah, so my kids just had fun hanging out with our cousins, swimming in the pool. We went to a few museums. Yeah, so that's what we did for our first trip. So that was a 2-week trip. We got back. I had 2 days to prepare for our next trip, which was about a week, driving up to a place in Canada about 5 hours away, where my sister and my brother-in-law built a house recently. And so they built it in a way so that the upstairs is a beautiful like Airbnb that it sleeps 12 people. We had 13 people. We had myself, we had our family, I had my brother and his family, so 4 of them, and then we had a friend's family, so 3 of them. Funny, ironic thing is my sister wasn't even there. They rather suddenly moved to Taiwan, which may sound very strange, but there were circumstances that made it so that moving to Taiwan was the best thing for them to do right now. And I grew up in Taiwan. My sister grew up in Taiwan. So it wasn't like as crazy as it sounds, moving to Taiwan. Still a big crazy thing, but not just some random place for them to move to. So my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece moved to Taiwan about 2 weeks before this family reunion that we had planned, and there was really no getting around it. So I got to hang out with my brother and his wife and kids, who we haven't seen in 2 years. and this friend from Taiwan, actually, who's living in Minnesota, and her husband and their son. So it was still a fun family reunion. Half of the siblings were there. My other brother, my youngest one, he lives in Taiwan. So like I said, it's not so crazy for my sister to move to Taiwan. So now I have two siblings who live in Taiwan. And actually I'm planning a trip with my daughter, who is adopted from Taiwan, to go to Taiwan for the first time since she was a baby, to go to Taiwan and just for her to experience Taiwan a bit. So that's sort of a March, April trip that I have planned with her. So that is actually part of our homeschool too. We're planning on taking 3 weeks to do that. And that's going to be at least a month, I would say, out of our homeschool year. So that is something that I am considering when I'm planning out my homeschool year. There's basically going to be a month between the traveling and the getting ready to go and the jet lag and just kind of all that. Is probably about a month of non-curriculum type time during our school year. And considering that I have a high schooler and then I have this middle schooler who I'm taking with me who is doing a lot of high school subjects, that's something I have to think about as well. So went to Canada. Now the thing is, my middle son, since we got back from North Carolina, I would say the day that we traveled on the plane, he started acting a little off. And then the next day he stopped eating very much at all, like hardly anything. And he went on basically our whole Canada trip. He wasn't eating very much. It was very hard to get him to eat anything. And he was coughing a lot and sleeping, nonstop sleeping. So I knew he was sick. I thought he had a cold. I wasn't sure what it was, but he just was not bouncing back. Now, there were a few days where he would wake up and he seemed like he had more energy and he'd start talking a little. He's my huge talker. So he was not talking for a long time. So he would talk and he would say things that he would normally say. And we'd be like, oh, he's coming back. You know, he's getting better. He's getting over this. And however, on the trip back, when we were driving back from Canada, he was still just totally out, barely eating anything, still not talking, still sleeping. And this was about 8 or 9 days in to him acting all strange. So I decided that as soon as we got back from Canada, we were going to go to emergent care. So as soon as we got back, it was about 4 p.m. On Thursday, I decided to take him in. So I took him in and they did all the tests, and turns out he has pneumonia. So we are on I think day 3 or 4 of treating pneumonia. Starting to get better now, so that is good, considering we're trying to start the homeschool year soon. So coming back from our trip, we got back on Thursday, so that was last Thursday. We are starting this Wednesday. I was feeling really overwhelmed. I'm still feeling tired, but really overwhelmed. You look around your house, you see all the chaos that comes in from like being basically on vacation for 3 weeks. The laundry, the grocery shopping list, the random clutter everywhere, just trying to get organized and then trying to get medication for my son, which shouldn't have been so hard, but it actually took like 3, almost 4 trips to the drugstore to get for various reasons, insurance issues, bills, paperwork, all the things that start to, get thrown at you when you've been gone for a while. So Friday, I was super overwhelmed, trying to get as many things off my list as I could of things I needed to do. So I got a lot done on Friday. Saturday, I was starting to feel a little bit better, a little bit more like the chaos was under control and I could start thinking about my homeschool year. And now it's Monday when I'm recording this, and I have today and tomorrow to prepare, and I'm feeling a little more prepared. So I am going to turn you around, take you over, and just show you sort of what I have planned so far for our first days of school. Before I get to that, a few more factors that I need to throw in here. So first of all, if you've been around, you will have heard that we are sort of part of a charter school. Our charter school it goes from K to 8th grade. So this year I've only 3 kids in this charter school. I'm calling it a charter school, even though that's not what they call them here, but most people understand charter school. So I have 3 kids in there, and it's pretty parent-heavy involvement. So what So basically, I do all the research for a curriculum that I want. I decide on the curriculum I want. As long as it is secular or neutral and it doesn't have any religion in it, I can ask the school district to purchase it for me. And so they purchase the curriculum for me. I make sure I have a plan for it. And then my kids will take 1 to 2 classes a week. So they're extracurricular classes. And so that gets put into our schedule somehow. And then I do a monthly report on what we did. And it really isn't really hard. It's just cutting and pasting kind of what we did with the curriculum that they gave us. But there are some meetings, like at the beginning of the school year, there's the mandatory teacher meeting. And then I have to go pick up computers because every kid in the district has to have computers. And basically my kids just use it for when they do testing, and we don't use them at home at all. I would rather not have them, but things like that. So there's just random stuff like that. Now, some of you have heard that my oldest really wanted to go to more of a school-like setting from homeschooling. And so after some research, I found a place that I felt comfortable with. It's not a full-on public school. It is through the public school system, but it's more of a 2 days a week school, and then you're at home, and they want parent involvement, but the parent involvement is going to be a lot less. So she did get into the school while we were in North Carolina, so we're very excited about that. We were on the waiting list, so we weren't sure what was going to happen, but she's super excited about that. But basically, she will be going to school on Mondays and Wednesdays from, I think it's like 8:30 to 2, but the school is half an hour away, and I am not going to be driving 2 hours, there and back, there and back. So basically her getting into the school means that I need to figure out how to homeschool my boys in the town that we're going to be going to. So I figured they have a pretty nice library. I was hoping they would have like meeting room that I could schedule so I could kind of book off time and just have a quiet place, because my boys are very easily distracted, that I could homeschool them. And it turns out that I looked yesterday and they do have meeting rooms that you can book. And I think I'll be able to book like a pretty good room for my boys that will be hopefully minimal distractions, because both of my boys are very easily distracted. So that was a big concern. I think that's okay. As far as homeschool planning, I have to plan what I'm doing with basically my boys on Mondays and Wednesdays are going to be my focus on my boys. So my boys are going into 6th and 7th grade. They are still not super independent. They need a little bit of micromanagement from me. And I'm still going to do group subject type things with them, but just with the 2 of them. And then they'll have independent work as well. And then my 8th grader, she is going to be at home doing her work by herself. She is a bit of an introvert, and she does like her alone time. And I would say she's very quiet, and the rest of the family can be quite loud and rambunctious. So she is actually looking forward to 2 days where she's going to be home. And she's also the one that she just likes me to give her the work and then just let her finish the work and do the work. And she's pretty capable. She will have questions, but I just have to make sure I schedule time into my week where she can ask me those questions. So she is going to be working on her own on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I just have to figure out how to make sure she knows what she's doing those 2 days. Now, the other 3 days, so Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, are going to be more of our family group days. I'm going to assign a little bit less of the independent work to allow for more time for that. So we're going to have certain subjects that we do still together as a family, even though my oldest is technically in school, 5/6 of her subjects is through the public school. We're still going to be doing some stuff together as a group because I'm just not ready to get rid of that. And yeah, so I had a plan. What am I going to do on those 3 days with the rest of the family, or the whole family? Now, there was a tiny, tiny wrench thrown into this plan. When I talked to the principal of the school, who I was very nervous to talk talk to you. I was like, why do you need to talk to me? I was asking questions about my oldest, and she used to have an IEP when she was in public school, and the classes that she was being placed in were definitely going to be very challenging for her. So I was asking for what sort of supports that she would have. And so basically she will have a resource room teacher who will be helping her with her math and doing math at her level, which is great. And then helping her with the other courses that she's taking. She's going to be, well, she was supposed to be in Algebra 1, but she is not at that level. So I told them that. But she's going to be doing American literature, American history, chemistry, whatever math her resource teacher assigns her, and then like career exploration, something like that. And then we are going to be on the record doing an elective or two with her as well. So I am still yet to have that meeting with whatever teacher is supervising her education. And I do have ideas on what I would like for her to have as her elective, since I have planned so much for her this school year. But I'm not sure what's going to be officially on her record as far as electives go. Okay, but the wrench was that because she's working with the resource room teacher, we actually have to take her one more day for a few hours for help with her schoolwork. And so that was not something that I was planning when I signed up for this. Driving 3 days out of the week to this half an hour away school. So at this point, I have my schedule kind of figured out for not having that included, and it looks fine. But there are going to be a lot of things like the younger kids, their classes that we have to do with their charter school. And then my kids, I have 2 kids who get OT and speech at the school. And then there's one chunk of 2 to 3 hours that she's working with the resource teacher at this other school. So I have a schedule, and it's going to be totally messed up by within a month. Everything's going to be in there, and I don't know what it's going to look like. So then you might say, why did I even make a schedule? Well, the thing is, I can't even plan my homeschool stuff, like my physical curriculum, until I can see visually what it looks like in a day, even if I know that it's going to be all messed up. So I just kind of need that physical schedule. I need things to be planned out in a logical way, in a reasonable time allotments, for me to be able to just focus on the actual planning of curriculum. And then after that, I can be flexible and I can adjust things, and I can say, well, we're not going to do group work on this day because we don't have time, but we'll do morning basket. Or we won't do morning basket on this day because of this. Or we'll do more of the stuff with the boys because I have more time with the boys when we have to take her to the resource room teacher. But when we have holidays or stuff, we'll do more group stuff at home. So I just need that schedule. I need to see that schedule. So I'll show you the schedule that I have at this point, but just know it's going to change. I'm also going to show you sort of what I've planned so far and what I still have to plan. So yeah, so our weeks are going to be kind of crazy this year. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. It's going to be a lot of pulls outside of our home, which I do not love. But I think I know I've talked about this in the past. If I didn't think that this school was the right fit for my oldest daughter, and if I didn't think that it was what is best for her right now based on what she needs, then we would not be doing this. It definitely makes our life a lot more chaotic. But she really does need that social piece. Not that she's not social at home, but she does need, she needs more teachers and more situations where she can grow in independence and maturity and just being able to do things outside of her comfort zone. And being at home can be very comfortable, and she's not getting all those opportunities. So she's grown a lot being homeschooled. I think it was really great. I don't regret it at all, but I feel like this school is going to challenge her in the areas that she needs challenging right now. And we're just going to take each kid as they come. My 8th grader right now, she doesn't really care about public school. She doesn't really want to go to anything like this. So we'll see. Next year, it'll be her turn to kind of decide what she wants to do with her high school years. And I think she'll probably just choose to homeschool and maybe do a few classes at the public school, like art or something, because she's really into that. So I don't know. So we'll see how things go. But this year is going to be a bit different, a bit chaotic. Yeah, so I guess join with me as we figure out how all of this is going to fit. And then, yeah, add in a trip to Taiwan in this school year. So we'll see how that goes. My oldest isn't going to Taiwan, and she will continue to have to go to her classes on Monday and Wednesday. So we're going to have to figure that out. We might have grandpa and grandma, if they can, come and visit for at least a week. My husband can take a week off, and then we planned it during spring break. So he's off for spring break, and then he might just take a week off from school, and then maybe the grandparents can be there helping the next week. So I don't know. We're going to see how that goes. But all right, let me turn you around, take you over to sort of my plans, what I'm going to do on Wednesday, and maybe some videos that I might have coming up soon. Okay, so I'm sorry, it's sort of a cloudy day. The lighting is not great, but we're going to try our best over here. So here is a look sort of at my initial schedule. I'm not going to go over it in super detail, but basically I have Monday and Wednesday there where we're dropping off my daughter, and I'll be driving my boys with me. And basically we're going to use that time to do history. We're going to be going through a child's history of the world on audio. So we're going to do that, as well as we're doing Book Shark G. So Book Shark G is the beginning of world history. So what ancient and medieval world history. And then audiobooks, we're going to be doing like geography audiobooks because we're still finishing Sunlight F. And so I do want my daughter to finish off the geography. So we still have Southeast Asia, we have Africa, and then the Pacific. So Australia, New Zealand, things like that. So then we're gonna finish that off with her. And so we'll be listening to any audiobooks that we can in the car while we're on the way dropping her off. That will give my kids time to wake up. They'll be quiet and they'll listen and not too taxing on their brains. So we're gonna get started pretty early with school on those days just because we can do it in the car. And then my boys I have their schedule for them. And I'm hoping I can book like the meeting room for about 3 hours. So like 9 to 12. And if we can get all our work done during that time, maybe we'll have time to go like to a park or something in the afternoon if it's nice. When it's not nice, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll just hang out at the library and they'll just get to know us really, really well. So I sort of have the Monday and Wednesday plans there. And then I have my Tuesday, Thursday, Friday plans, which are basically any day that we are not going and running out to the school. So, like I said, there's going to be random stuff around lunch, after lunch, classes that are going to be added in there. So that is just my plan at the moment. Not super realistic, but as real as I could make it. Wednesday is our first day of school. I'm going to try to make a video showing my setup on the table, maybe the night before, just to show you our books, our school supplies, and what my kids are getting back to school, sort of what the table is going to look like when they come down in the morning, and have that set up for them. And we're going to start off with only group time on Wednesday, just because that's the easier stuff. It's an easier way to get started. So we're going to start about 9:30, which means they're going to come down, take a look at their stuff, ooh and ah, and then we'll get some group work done. So this is my hope for Wednesday for group work. We'll see if we can get through it all. We're going to start with World Watch News. My kids really enjoy that. We're going to do our Bible. Our Bible is going to be God's Story, a study through the Old Testament. I was going to be doing this back and forth with the Sunlight readings, but with only 3 days a week for group work, I'm just going to focus on Not Consumed every single time. Then the problem is I have all of these Bible things I want to do as well, and being only able to do it 3 times a week, I'm not sure. So that is something I'm still needing to work on, whittling down our resources, because we just won't have as much time as I would like. But anyways, that's the plan. So we'll do Not Consumed. We'll read something from one of those devotionals or one of those books there. We have Morning Basket. You can't see it, but it's down here. I have my Morning Basket here with the things sort of in order. If you want to watch my morning basket video, plan my morning basket video with me video, I will link that below. We have our read aloud. The first one we're going to start with is The Land I Lost, because we're going into Southeast Asia. So we're going to be reading that as our read aloud on the 3 days that we're at home. Group subjects. We're going to continue with our guest hollow geography, and my kids are going to be mostly reading those read alouds at the very beginning. So just starting with their Southeast Asia readers. And government, we are going to be doing this election 2024 unit study by Emily Cook, Build Your Library. When she made this, Biden was still the other presidential possibility, but it doesn't really affect the unit. It has a few books that we're going to be reading, and yeah, the only thing that makes a difference is in the links. It has a link to the Joe Biden official campaign, as well as Donald Trump's. So they don't have, I guess, Kamala Harris's at this point. So those two are the first two things we're going to be doing. And I have my loop ready here. So this is my little, so I'm going to be just kind of going in order. Whenever we're at home, I'm going to try to get through two group subjects whenever possible. So I'll probably do geography most of the time just to try to finish that off. So we might do like geography government, geography health, geography art, geography health, geography music. I sort of have a loop ready for that. So each day we'll do two group subjects when we can. And finally, we have Spanish. So we'll be doing Beginning Spanish for Families by Master Book Academy. We're about halfway through that course, and I have just like 6 months to finish it. So that is what we're going to be doing on our first day of school. Second day of school, I'm going to try to hit some of my kids' independent work. I'm going to try to get them started on those things. So like some math, language arts, things like that. I really need to, on Thursday, Friday, I need to really focus on my 8th grader and getting her ready to do school on her own on those days I'm not here. So she really has the most complicated of the subjects. She has a new math, she has a new language arts, she has several guest hollow curriculums, so those are a little more complicated. So like chemistry in the kitchen, I'm going to have to show her how I'm assigning that for her. She has whirlwind world history, that's also guest hollow, so I'm just going to have to kind of be working through that with her the first few days. So basically I have Thursday, Friday, and then the beginning of next year, Tuesday, to work through all that with her before our first day to take my oldest to the school is September 4th. So that is the Wednesday a week from this week. So basically I have 1 week to get things rolling before we really start doing that crazy schedule where I'm in and out of the house and gone for full days with my boys trying to homeschool them at a library. So that is pretty much my thoughts, where I'm at as far as preparing for the new school year. I do have my checklist, and I feel like I haven't gone through a lot of them. Yeah, I'm feeling semi-prepared, like I could wing it the first few days, but I might not be. I don't know. It's just like the part, especially the part on showing my 8th grader how to do her work. And just she's going to have just a lot more independent work than she has in the past. That's going to be a bit of an adjustment. And then, yeah, and then we don't know what my 9th graders school is going to bring into our homeschool, like as far as expectations, requirements, what I'm going to have to help with, what that extra trip is going to do, what all the extra classes that are going to be in our schedule is going to do. So I know some of you are going to be like, well, you did this to yourself. You went and joined charter schools or having your kids join in these different activities. And yes, that's true. It's our choice to do that. Some people homeschool, like homeschool, or simply they keep things at home and they can have more control over their schedule. I think that in general, as kids get older, this kind of happens. Like kids have their own ideas. you've learned their strengths and weaknesses, and in trying to customize their education in a way that best suits them, I think that the homeschool environment can change as they get older. When they're younger, it's a lot easier to just keep things more in the home and just have a very great, successful homeschool years. And you can do that in high school too. I'm not saying you have to go out and join charter schools. I'm just saying that as my kids are getting older and as I'm seeing what each individually needs, it is definitely getting harder and harder to keep it manageable within our schedule and within our life. But that is what's happening. I know some of you can relate to this crazy schedule and some of you probably can't, but I do appreciate you being here and watching this video, and I appreciate all the encouragement that you've given to me over the years. I'm excited to share this journey with you, though I'm not sure how often I'm going to be able to share considering the schedule. I am definitely going to try to keep being on here and consistent as much as possible, but I hope you understand if it is a bit more of a struggle. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like videos like this and you want to see sort of what happens to us, what happens along our journey, give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for coming today, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.